Hi, I'm Mike Zuckerman, Chief Marketing Officer for Queplix, and I'm going to talk about the Queplix N+1 architecture. This is the first unified platform for data integration available today in the market. Queplix, as you know, is a data integration and data management company, and we're uniquely leveraged by our advanced data virtualization technology. This architecture enables our products to do things that no other vendor can do today. When you look at the problem we solve, which is building bridges between different applications to support integration needs, you're looking at a very large domain set today. It's not just large enterprise apps. It's an emerging crop of NoSQL applications, some of which are indeed in the clouds. That mountain is so high it reaches into the clouds. And then certainly the new cloud applications, which are exploding and displacing many markets. The CRM market has been irrevocably changed by vendors like Salesforce.com and NetSuite, and that's now bridging into mainstream markets like ERP. So these changes are big sea changes, and they're happening. And yet we're faced with an architectural problem. The architectural problem is that in any major vendor's product line, there are gross inconsistencies between what they propose on-premise and what they propose for your cloud. In fact, for these existing vendors, their on-premise architectures are incompatible with their cloud-based architectures, and they're not going to devise a strategy anytime soon to solve this problem. They are years away. Queplix and our product architecture, our N+1 architecture, is based upon our virtual data manager platform. It is the same platform in our QueCloud as we have on-premise, the same software interfaces, the same things that you need to do to get the system to work. There's not one iota of difference. And we present perhaps the first truly unified platform, the same environment for cloud today as you have on-premise. No other vendor can do this in the mainstream data integration world. And the reason is very obvious. The reason is that the revenue base that these vendors have been milking comes from the deployment of first and maybe some second generation products into the large enterprise. Their revenue model is about charging the highest hourly rate and amassing the greatest number of hours for professional services, and has nothing to do with the cost of the technology, which, by the way, they get overpaid for on top of it. And that persists in their on-premise architectures, yet begrudgingly they have deployed overpriced cloud models, usually built upon ETL frameworks, which are much older than the clouds in which they deploy. And they present customers with a set of completely incompatible architectures. If you're in a global enterprise company and you're looking at deploying some cloud applications, now you've got two different sets of architectures to deploy for data integration, which just makes it more complicated. And like any large vendor, they will roll out a roadmap for you and show you how, well, in 3 years, maybe we're going to get there. In 3 years, you could be out of a job in getting your applications integrated. In 3 years, some of your business units could fold because the interaction between the application software products doesn't exist. 3 years means we don't know exactly when we're going to get there, and we don't know exactly how we're going to get it done. We have that unified architecture today with a third generation product, and it's because of the power of advanced data virtualization. Unified delivery means one coherent world. So you can deploy QueCloud in the cloud and reach down to the enterprise. You can deploy the same code base, which is Virtual Data Manager, on-premise on a VMware slice and reach up to the cloud. And you can see very easily that this architecture goes on either side of the line. You can even deploy both and network them together seamlessly later. It really doesn't matter. So this unified delivery platform is exactly what architects are asking for and exactly what the big incumbent vendors cannot deliver. You will hear, well, for this particular product, we almost have a unified platform. That's just not the case. Unified platform means for all of your integration technologies, for all of your data quality technologies, for all of your data governance technologies, and for your schemes associated to deploy master data management or virtual master data management, that the technology architecture is the same. No one else can do that but Queplix, and we can do all of that for you to build out your enterprise. QueCloud is very simple and easy to deploy. It's wonderful if you're an SMB and you're deploying cloud apps, but as any SMB, you may grow later to require, some larger on-premise applications. It may be something that you do because you acquire other companies or something that you do to support your partnering, and it's easily achieved with QueCloud. Similarly, if you deploy on-premise, if that's your model, perhaps this is your division in Europe, or perhaps it's a business unit in the United States, and you can see that you can connect back to your cloud as well as to your legacy apps, and you can keep our virtual data manager in your data center as a data center appliance to support all of your needs. Advanced data virtualization is not the same as everything else. It's very, very different. Everyone else out there is bringing you an ETL-based technology. You look at some of the vendor demos and they talk about, let's build a pipe. That's exactly the wrong approach to data integration. You should not be building pipes. A hub and spoke server saves so much effort and produces so much more reliability and provides a much lower cost of maintenance. You virtualize once and you integrate many. We have an automatic connection to the metadata and we adjust to changes. There is nothing like that in the ETL world, and 90% of the integration technologies out there are ETL or ETL with a GUI, and they just won't work. The unified architecture is enabled by that persistent metadata platform. It's the only way to get there without tremendously heavy lifting, and it's the best way. Finally, our object-oriented view of the world takes all of these different things you need to connect to in that enterprise framework and turns them into objects so that a business user can manipulate them easily. And they're all there: relational, object, complex APIs, XML. And what the business user wants to see is there some addresses in PeopleSoft that, based upon this business rule, need to go into Salesforce. Can I please get that done? And yes, you can. You can check a few boxes. You can get that done. And you don't need to know anything about the APIs and the underlying products. It's a very different way of doing things. Finally, I looked at one large vendor that charges hundreds of thousands of dollars for their software, and they're proud of their business analyst workbench. So a business user sits down and does some stuff to then turn it over to a programmer who has to do more stuff in another software tool. We have one business user interface that's ready, that can go from user configuration to full deployment. No ETL under the covers. So this is a very different world, and this is the world that enables a unified architecture and makes it possible. Our vision for the future is in some ways harkens back to the days of Tivoli, where Tivoli said, wow, you've got all of these servers around your organization, and what would it take to see the status of every server, to know that it was functioning, to know how much data was passing through, to know things about the status of that server and the networks that connect to it. And from that vision was born literally hundreds of products that support broad-scale deployment across the networks in global enterprise today. And we have that same vision for enterprise data integration. Whether you're a small company, mid-sized, or large, we will tie it all together and give you a stateful view, present and past, to all of your data quality, all of your integration, your ability to manage compliance and audit, and to see the lineage of all of this, and give it to you in one white box technology where you can clearly see what's happening in the system. A system where a CFO can sit down and you can explain to your CFO, to him or her, exactly what's happening, and they will understand it. Today, if you took someone over to any of your other integrations, to any of your other ETL tool architectures, they would leave the meeting in fear, because these are black box technologies and what's happening inside them is not at all clear to the users or anyone else. So thank you for spending time with me. I'm glad we had an opportunity to present our unified platform for data integration. We're the only vendor that has one. Please contact us at sales@queplix.com, and we'll be glad to share more with this with you. Thank you and have a great day. Bye-bye.